Hey guys, welcome back to Fam Sports Patriots. We're going to go over this last game, the New England Patriots against the Philadelphia Eagles. The practices leading up to this game were god-awful, but the game wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. We're going to go into Real Americans and Redcoats. We figured the Patriots Redcoats were kind of but Real American and Redcoats, Real American because it's one of the best drinking games ever to be made, and Redcoats obviously because they're bad people. The Patriots scored 10 points in the second quarter, and then the Eagles came back in the fourth quarter, and we couldn't score anything in the fourth quarter because Bailey Zappi was our quarterback. So just kind of going over a couple of the stats. Drake May, Real American, he was 6 for 11 with 47 yards. Doesn't sound great, but he played well, he played smart, and he did not turn the ball over. Ramade Stevenson, also Real American. He looks like the old Stevenson. He rushed the ball 6 times for 18 yards. Nothing crazy, didn't break one, but it was consistent and it was good. There was nothing that, and the second effort was there. He wasn't just going down after first contact. It was taking 2 to 3 guys to bring him down. And then Hasty. Hasty was 1 reception, 23 yards, and he was average. I mean, he didn't make either list, but he was definitely one of those guys to maybe look out for. He's going to be, we're not deep in the backfield, and he might be one of those guys that does make the cut. Stevenson, Harris, and May led the rushing at 18, 16, and 15. Milton had 3 carries for 9 yards. Gibson, 4 carries for 8 yards. Hasty had 2 carries for 3 yards. He's more of a downhill back, Hasty is, and I think he might make the cut. Bailey Zappi, 1 attempt, 0 yards, because Bailey Zappi sucks. Receiving wise, Boot stood out another game. He had 3 receptions, 23 yards, but don't let that fool you. He did play most of the game. A lot of these guys didn't play as much. And then you had Hasty, 1 reception, 23 yards, like I said before. David Wallace, a guy that we had talked about, 2 receptions, 16 yards. He did miss a route with Joe Milton in the third quarter, and he should have ran a slant. He stopped. It was just a bad read. It's stuff they'll work out in preseason. I don't think Wallace is one to, just because of that one play. I don't think it's really anything that he missed. Baker was 1 reception, 12 yards, but he had a huge huge offensive interference call that was called on him because he had the guy beat. And there was a couple other ones where the deep ball to Baker that he probably should have made the catch, but it was a tough catch. So Baker was definitely one of those guys that he's definitely going to make the roster, and he's going to be a difference maker. Jennings, another guy that he's been coming out of nowhere, and he's another back that you might see making that final roster. So keep an eye on Jennings and Hastings. Austin Hooper, he's my guy. I've been rooting for Austin Hooper for a long time. 1 reception, 9 yards. Rieger, 1 reception, 7 yards. But he did return punts and he returned kickoffs, and he is going to be on my Real American list because he must be one of my 15 views on the last video I did because he was a red coat. He was one of those guys that did step up. I think he saw what Wallace was doing, and he realized, hey, I got to do something to make this team. And he did. He stepped up huge in the return game. And if he's our special teams guy, he's our special teams guy. Gonzo's another guy that made the Real American list. He's a lockdown corner. Let's be real. He's going to be defensive first team. He's got a good possibility of being the defensive MVP this year. He was well on his way last year, but he's still showing signs of being a lockdown corner. O-line, run game, Real Americans, they took a huge step. There are a couple O-linemen on the Redcoat list, but overall, the O-line looked tons better, like leaps and bounds better. Javon Baker, Keyshawn Boot. Like I said, Keyshawn Boot played most of the game, so his stats, but he did make a Real American list because he's going to make the team, I feel. I think he's a good ad, and I think he's a consistent receiver, and he was one that every quarterback looked for. So just because he has that rapport with all the quarterbacks, I think that's going to be good for him. Farm played phenomenal. He's going to be one of those guys to watch for, and he's going to be something to look forward to have. Keon White, I love that man. Judon who, with that outside edge, he sets it. And when he pins his ears back and goes, there's not a lot of people that are going to block him. And he's going to be one of those guys that you're going to hear his name constantly on Sundays. And he's going to be a huge asset to that defense that's going to be potentially a top 5, top 3 defense. Keon White, I think Keon White's play is the reason they were so okay with letting Judon go to the Falcons. But yeah, Keon White, definitely Real American. Wilson, Dietrich Wise, Polk. Polk stepped up. He had some good plays. His routes are crisp. He's a Real American. Let me look here. Who else do I got? Josh Uche. Let's be real, man. Guy's a dog, so he's gonna be that guy. He's gonna be a Real American no matter what. Marcel Dial, Jr. He's gonna be. I think he's gonna make the team, and he's gonna be a really good in that dime package. He's gonna be a guy that could potentially make some noise and potentially just get better throughout the year. So he's going to make my Real American list. They threw at him consistently, but I mean, I think he only had 1 or 2 passes and the one pass, he defended it perfectly. The guy just made a good catch. So he definitely is on the the Real American list. And then David Wallace made it again. He did have that one play, but as a return guy, him and Rieger are going to go back and forth, and that's going to be an interesting thing to watch and see what happens. Who made the red coat list? Okay, so Javon Baker almost made the red coat list because of that pass drop, but we rewinded it a couple times, watched it, and it was a tough catch, so we're going to keep him with the Real Americans. Jacoby Brissett, I mean, I think he's going to be permanently on this list as our red coat. He's been playing horrible, and unfortunately, I think we're going to have to either – and with the Milton play, he didn't make the red coat list, but Milton didn't play well. I think we're going to end up seeing Drake May sooner rather than later, especially if our defense is keeping us in games and we're losing by a touchdown, 3 points like we were last year. Bailey Zappi obviously is never going to be that guy. I hope he'll do well in Minnesota, where he'll end up probably in the next couple of weeks. But Jacoby Brissett, he has to step up. The leadership in the locker room is great. The quarterback room is great, but now he has to show it on the field. They brought him in here for a reason. It's to give him a year. It's not to draft first next year. There's nobody there to draft first next year, so we don't want that spot. So Jacoby Brissett's got to step up and play like he can. Then we got Lowe. Lowe was going to be a shiny, he was going to be that guy that maybe put that O-line together, but this last game, false started, and we all know as a Patriot fan, we don't do that. There's stupid penalties, and he is allowing a lot of pressure. He's not standing his ground. He's not, and then poor communication and allowed a sack as well when he should have chipped the guy and went off and let Harris have it. He ran into Harris. The guy ended up beating him on the outside, and Smith beat him on the outside and ended up sacking the quarterback. But I think he's one to watch. I hope he bounces back. I hope this is one game that he's just trying to get his footing and stuff. I hope he bounces back, but unfortunately, he's definitely a red coat this game. And then Wilson, he missed the screen read on that. I'm reaching with the red coats. I'm trying to not pick and choose and be really negative. But when he missed that screen read, that was a huge deal because it was 2nd and 22. Then it became 3rd and 2. So when he missed that screen read, that could potentially be a big deal, and he needs to be able to step up and make that play. He crashed to the middle, and it's simple screen read. He should have stayed on the outside. Defensively, McMillan, 4 tackles, 4 assists. Dial, like I said, 4 tackles, 1 assist. Thomas, 3 tackles. Pettis, 3 tackles. Jimenez, 3 tackles. And Bledsoe, 3 tackles. All these guys' names you're hearing are going to be names that you're going to hear on Sunday. I think these guys are going to make the team, and I'm pretty excited about it. Uche, yeah, we're good. 2-1. Wise 2, and Gonzalez 2. What that's showing me is a lot of these guys are your interior linemen, so they're stopping the run. They're not getting to that second level, which is great to see. And then with Gonzalez, the 2 tackles that came in as basically the screenplays and stuff like that. The Eagles did not play Hurts, so we ended up with Kenny Pickett right away. So there's a lot of checkdowns, and that's where Christian Gonzalez made his plays as well. Purcell, 2 tackles. I mean, we can go down the list, but I mean, for the most part, Keon White, one tackle, but he was constantly in the backfield and just disrupting everything. So, I mean, quiet game as far as stats go, but he was making noise everywhere he went. I'm excited for the defense. The offense, like I said before, it's kind of comical. Our wide receiver room doesn't seem to be the issue, and it does seem to be. We're worried about, Stevenson's going to be that guy, but how long can he be that guy? Gibson stepped up a little bit, but I really like the fact that we have Harris and we have potentially Jennings as well and Hasty. So I do think that it'll come together as far as offensively. Are we going to be putting up 40, 50 points a game? Absolutely not. We're not going to win any shootouts, but defensively they'll keep us in the game. That's kind of my take on the Eagles-Patriots game this Thursday night. Like I said, leading up to practice, it looked god-awful. I thought it was going to be a train wreck. Our offensive line allowed 14 sacks and 44 dropbacks one day, and they just weren't clicking. And they got together, the coaching staff, props to them. They got them together, got them to work together, and it was a loss, but it was 14-13. It is preseason, but it does give me hope against Cincinnati, especially with Jamar still holding out. I think Cincinnati's going to be a tough test for both teams, and it'll definitely, we'll be able to tell. It'll be a measuring stick right away how good this defense is, and it'll also be not so hard on the offense where how good is our offense really going to be for an average defense. Cincinnati's not world beaters as far as defense goes, but they're nothing to shake your hat at either. So I do think I'm excited for week one, and I don't know. I'm excited for week one Patriot football, and if you're excited and you like the content, please like and subscribe, hit that little notification bell at the end. And if you have anything, who's your Redcoats, who's your All-Americans, or your Real Americans, down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching, and let's remember, the Bailey Zappi, it's almost over. We get to turn that chapter. And we were talking when we were watching the game, Bailey Zappi just has that face you want to punch, so we'll be excited to see him in Minnesota. But thank you guys for watching.